Basically, this is what I started doing as well. By the way, my previous life, I started out as a police officer in my 20s. In my 30s, I started being a Protestant pastor, and I had a media consulting firm because I did radio and television in the evangelical Protestant world. I could drop some names: Charles Stanley, Jim Dobson, Chuck Swindoll, any of those guys that you might know or probably don't know. But anyway, they're very large. And the media ministry that I worked at the longest in the consulting work was Dr. Charles Stanley's ministry, In Touch. And Dr. Stanley's media ministry had an income when I was working there of $72 million a year. $72 million a year. The average donation was $35. That's a lot of people he's touching. Now imagine if we were to put as much seriousness in the delivery of the greatest message that humanity has ever had, the Orthodox Christian faith. Unless you assume that everybody shouldn't be Orthodox. If you assume that Orthodoxy only belongs to a certain cultural group, then I don't expect you to buy into this at all. But if you assume, like the Apostle Paul did, is that subtle enough? Anyway, if you assume like the Apostle Paul did, and like Jesus did, very subtle. You like that? Yeah. Come unto me, all you that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. All you that labor and are heavy laden. Everybody meet anybody that's laboring and heavy laden that isn't Greek or Russian or Serbian or anything? Ever met anybody? They want to be Orthodox. They just don't know it. So you got to tell them. So we started doing all of this work. We do Faith and Courage Daily. And then Faith and Courage Live is a live radio show. By the way, Sunday night, this Sunday night at 8 p.m. on ancientfaith.com, I'll be doing a live show called Ancient Faith Live. I do it on the second and fourth Sundays every month. And then Journey to Fullness is a program that we'll be talking to you about in just a minute. But basically what we started doing is assuming the message that we had was something that people wanted to see. First, you guys got a website here, right?
Yes.
That's where you start. That's the front door. Website and email address. When you start there, your parish website is the front door for your guests. Did you know that, I hate to say this, we're all big people here, so I'm not going to worry with it. After pornography, looking for religious information is the second biggest thing on the internet.
Wow.
Pornography is number one, religion's number two. What does that tell you?
We could be a lot worse, though.
It could be a lot worse. Well, it is actually a lot worse, but the point is that there are folks that are interested in learning religious ideas. And so your church website is your front door for people who are looking for the faith. How good is that website? You got to keep looking at that. By the way, we have no visitors at our parish incoming. They are guests. That's it. Visitors come and go. Guests could become family. And that's a rule that we have. By the way, gang, the reason why I emphasize this is because how you speak reveals what you believe. Do you understand that? How you speak reveals what you believe. So being excellent and purposeful in the way you speak about the faith and about the guests that come to your community communicates. So do it well. Do it with purpose. Don't be haphazard. My bishop would love to hear me say that about the liturgical stuff that I do. I'm not the greatest liturgist in the world. But I'm getting better. So I just got here, guys. I'm learning, for heaven's sake. So share your media on your site. Make sure that it's all there. Make sure your parish knows about your media. Did you know that there are people in your parish that don't even realize you have a website? Did you know that there are people at St. Sophia's Church that have never visited the St. Sophia website? The reason why they don't visit the website is because they're not constantly reminded that that's the place, the resource that they can go, that they need to do that. So we emphasize over and over again in coming, go to the website to find out what's coming up. Go to the website so that people will get used to using it and share it with their friends. Your parish building is your first impression. Now you guys have a beautiful fishing vessel here. It's absolutely gorgeous. But it's extremely important that you have a welcome team that is trained and has good materials. By the way, we have no committees incoming. We have no committees incoming. There's a sufficient number of committees in the world. I don't want any in church. We have ministry teams. Everyone who is doing a ministry in our parish is on a ministry team. They are not on a committee. Because every one of my lay people they know they're called to a specific task in our community because they're all ministers. St. John Chrysostom said that you are reason-endowed sheep. St. Peter called you a kingdom, a nation of priests and kings. That's what you are. And so when you are chrismated, you are given the task to be part of the ministry team of your parish. The idea, the old idea, that it's only the clergyman who can do religious work has to die because, children, you're killing us. We need your help. You're killing us. You have gifts I don't have. You got to put them to use for the church. Okay? So you have a welcome team that is trained with good materials. We're going to talk about that again in just a second. And then where's the bathroom? Me and my brothers were walking around here today because this place is huge. If you don't have signage in your community that tells people where the bathroom is, they're not going to know where the bathroom is. And if a guest doesn't know where the bathroom is, they're not going to feel very welcome. So that's something but do you see, something as mundane as that communicates how you feel about your home, your spiritual home. If you assume that people who come to your parish want to become Orthodox, then you assume they need to know the things that are going on around your building. You assume they need to know where their kids need to go for Sunday school or for the children's ministry. You assume, and you have good signage all over the place so that nobody feels like that they're left out and lost. Where do my kids go? By the way, do you know what the number one reason a person will come back to a church is? The number one thing that they look at and to decide whether they think that this is a good place to go to church? What do you think it is?
They feel welcome.
If they feel welcome, okay, what else? Kids? What, do you have something for the kids? What else? The number one reason why somebody would say, you know what, this is a good place to go to church.
Someone was nice to them from the church and said hi.
Someone was nice to the church and said hi instead of the guy standing behind the candle going, who are you? What are you doing here? In the South, we have a different way of saying it. We say it much nicer. How are you, dear? I'm sorry, I don't believe I know your daddy. Who's your people? That's the way we say Sinos in the South. What else? Number one, this is just, let me get my teeth in. This is a study that they did, a statistical study, to find out what people look for. The number one thing in a church where they look, go ahead, Chris.
The bathrooms are clean.
That's no fair. You heard my first word. And it's not just the bathroom, the women's bathroom. The women's bathroom is the number one place somebody will look and say, this is a good place to go to church. The second place is the area where my children go clean and safe. Those are the two things. So usually after I make this presentation, people start getting, let's go look at the women's bathroom. How does that look? Is it well appointed? Is it well lighted? Does it have all the things it needs? Are there little frou-frou-filly things in there that a little woman will go, oh. Men's bathroom? Who cares? Doesn't matter. You can have a flickering fluorescent light that only burns about 5 minutes a day. That's fine. It doesn't matter. But in the women's bathroom, it's got to be perfect. Okay, so this is something for you to think about. So your first impression for your guest. When a guest comes to St. Sophia Church, brothers and sisters, let me tell you something. If you don't know specifically and have a clear plan about how a guest moves from being a guest to a member, you are not ready to be a welcoming community. You got it? So your first impression for your guest is your welcome packet. Now I have 3 welcome packets here that you're more than welcome to keep that we use in our community. I'll tell you what, I'll start this one over here. Just take that one right there, and then I'll start this one over here. Go get that and just start passing that around and let folks look at it. And I'll use this one as an example. A welcome packet must fit in a woman's purse. If it's too big to fit into a woman's purse, it goes in the trash. Woman's purse, that's the size. That's the reason why when the Archdiocese came out with this 8.5 by 11 big folder, I told them, I said, guys, I love you very much. Good shot, way to go, thank you for thinking of us. It ain't gonna work. So we shrunk it down to this size here. And inside this welcome pack is all kinds of information that a guest might want to know. You'll see it as it gets passed around. There's a message in there from me, and then there's a color-coded section. There's a little story about our history, and then there's a color-coded section about the ministries that are offered at the community. It doesn't take much to do something quality-based so that you leave the impression that it is a good thing for you to be in this house with us because you love the message that's being proclaimed. Catalánate. You understand? You love the message that's being proclaimed. You love your faith. You're Orthodox on purpose. And you want your faith to be shared. In fact, go ahead and let's pass this around to some other folks. You guys can keep that and do with it what you want. You can copy it, whatever you want, if you want to. But all of those things have in there is everything that somebody will need to say, here's how I can plug in. By the way, what is the number one problem that a church has in the United States? What's the number one need that most churches are constantly talking about?
Money.
Isn't that funny? It's always the same answer, and it's always wrong. They're always talking about it, but that's like talking about a headache when you have a brain tumor. Lack of money is never a problem. It is the symptom of a problem. Period, full stop, end of discussion.
Not enough people.
Not enough people is not it either. The lack of engagement. The number one problem that churches have in the United States of America, and the number one reason why they are shedding people right and left, is the lack of engagement. People that are attending the church now and again. How many of you know people that come to church twice a year? If that. Tons of them. If they all came at one time, St. Sophia's, we'd have to put up tents in the parking lot, and even then it wouldn't be enough. The Orthodox by accident are all over the place. The Orthodox on purpose, however, are called to help the Orthodox by accident start getting re-engaged with the faith. If it is, as we say it is in the Divine Liturgy, if this really is the true faith, then the best energy that we have should be used in encouraging men and women to engage their faith in a purposeful, practical, daily way. That's what we're called to do. So, every person that comes to the parish that are guests get a welcome packet. In that welcome packet, there is a card that they can fill out. We encourage them to fill it out. It gives the information. On that card, would you like Father Barnabas to contact you? That is just there for show. I always do anyway. Again, I assume every person who comes to my parish wants to be Orthodox. Period. That is a general assumption that I base everything else on. Okay? We'll talk about the process that we use, what we do with those cards. Those cards aren't just there just to fill out. There is a process that we use, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. Okay, what are other ways and events that get you guests? Weddings, baptisms, funerals, Sunday school events, plays, pageants. How many of you have events that the kids put on a play, and all of the family members come out and they've got their little iPads and their iPhones, and they never watch the pageant. They're looking at the iPhone screen, recording it. They're recording an event that's happening in front of them. It's amazing. They don't engage it, they engage the screen. It's amazing. That's it. But they're there. How do you treat those people? What do you do? What is your plan to give them the impression that they could come to church here? What's your plan? If you don't have one, folks, then you're planning on giving that fruit away to other groups or other ideologies. And that's not healthy. And it's not loving. Okay? So parish festivals are the biggest things that we have over and over again. So what's your plan to greet these guests and make them feel welcome? If you don't have a plan, they're not going to be back. So the follow-up plan. This is what we do when a guest comes to our community. It happens within 48 hours. Welcome team fills out thank you postcard at the church that Sunday morning and mails it that day. Next, the collected guest cards are entered into a database no later than Monday. Then, a personal letter from the priest is mailed on Tuesday. Then, a letter from the parish council president is mailed on Tuesday. Then, a phone call or email by the priest is done on Wednesday. Then, an invitation by phone, letter, or email to return is issued on Thursday. And then a second thank you letter is sent by the priest the following week. Father, you're just badgering people. Yeah. Their house is on fire. I believe the Orthodox faith will make them truly human and be able to enjoy God forever. If I act a little forceful, well, snowflake, suck it up. I believe what the faith teaches me. The faith teaches me that this is the way to enjoy God forever. What am I going to do? Just say, well, I don't want to bother you. No, I want to bother you. I want to bother you. I want to bother you. This is important. I want to do it in a loving way. I don't want to be disgusting, and not everybody has my personality. Thank you, Jesus. But yeah, that's the process that we use. And 6.5 years ago, when I came to the Cumming Parish, they had 32 people. We have a building that seats 150 on a regular basis. On every Sunday, usually we average between 160 and 180. We have 100 kids in Sunday school. 80% of them are 5th grade and below. It is a madhouse. And it's wonderful. Because there's life involved. This is what we need to do, folks, because the average American is so inundated by messages from all kinds of sources that the average American needs to hear something at least 7 times before it registers the first time. It's actually gone up since this study came out. It's now closer to 12 times because of the ubiquitous nature of media and screens and the fact that we have these things that we're carrying around that are just portable TV studios. There they are. They're all there. And it's constantly asking for my attention. Oh, pay attention to me. Pay attention to me. Please pay attention to me. Please pay attention to me. I'm saying something really important. Pay attention to me. 12 times before an American hears it once. That's the reason why when you give announcements at church on Sunday morning, it's usually a waste of time. Because it's not going to be frequent enough. That's the reason why we put a TV screen in our narthex that has the information scrolling all the time. So that we touch people in as many ways as we possibly can with the information that's going on. Why? Because we assumed I was thinner then. But what about our church festivals? Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to know the church festival is the #1 evangelism outreach that we use in our parish. Our church tours during our church festival is the source of over 90% of our new families in our church and converts. By the way, this coming Holy Saturday in Cumming, Georgia, we will baptize 8 and receive 12 through chrismation. I don't know why we don't have any room for them. And I told them, I said, listen, if you're here, if you want to just be Orthodox once or twice a year, I can get you in right now. But if you want to practice the faith every day, it's going to be probably 2-3 years before we get you in. But we'll put you on a list. Put you on a list. So the festival focuses on the church tour. Every cashier at our festival says one thing to every guest. Have you taken the church tours? Because at the church tours, Father Barnabas or somebody else that is working the church tours are doing this work. This is because we've transitioned away from the church festival being mainly a fundraiser to an outreach event. So our church tours and outreach go something like this. We assume everybody wants to be Orthodox. The tours are announced and all the volunteers are trained to ask, have you taken the church tour? We send a small gift to everyone who takes a church tour. I say to them at the end of the presentation, you've taken your time to come and be a part of this festival, and then you've sat in here and listened to me for a half hour. I have a gift that I'd like to send you. All you need to do is fill out this little card. I'll show you the card here in just a second. Fill out this little card, and oh, by the way, there's a box on there that says, if you'd like to learn more about Orthodoxy, check this box, because we're starting an Orthodoxy 101 class. We now call it Journey to Fullness class the next week. And so that's when we do that. And then this intentional focus for our festival has revitalized our people to see outreach as the purpose for our annual festival. You'd be surprised how hard people will work when they're working for the salvation of their neighbors rather than just to pay the light bill. Pregnant pause to make sure everybody got that.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Well, Lord, bless him, Jesus. Hold on, let go. That's the card that we do. Thank you for taking our church tour. We'd like to send you a gift. It's a little refrigerator magnet with the saints of the church on there and the times of the church services on Sunday morning. Name, address. I'm interested in learning more about Orthodoxy. Right there. They check that box and then they get an invitation from me to attend the Journey to Fullness class that comes next. All right, that's the Journey to Fullness that we're talking about. Years ago, we started doing a class that we call Intro to Orthodoxy that really began to be very effective. A few years ago, some brother priests came to me and said, "Father, would you please help us do something similar?" So I recorded our Intro to Orthodoxy class and put it on YouTube. And it quickly became the #1 series of videos that are watched on our YouTube channel. To the point where people were watching it and becoming Orthodox, for heaven's sake. It's really kind of cool. But the lighting stunk, the sound stunk. It was just me standing there. It was boring as watching paint dry. And I don't like that. I want quality. Quality, the message deserves our best. So, in 2015, we started a process to put this down and hire a professional video company to do this right. And we produced it. In August of 2015, we started a fundraising project that would eventually raise $120,000 that we produced a Journey to Fullness. This is the workbook that goes along with the videos. It's 2 DVDs with 8 sessions each on it. They're 20 minutes long. There is a question and answer section, and there's a way to introduce, and this is not a catechism. It is an Intro to Orthodoxy class. How many of you know people at St. Sophia's who have non-Orthodox spouses? You know anybody like that? By the way, you know that's the norm. Over 80% of all marriages done in the Greek Orthodox Archdiocese of the United States are done between an Orthodox and a non-Orthodox Christian. That's the norm nowadays. In Florida, it's 96%. This is the norm. And so you've got men and women who are marrying Orthodox spouses who know very little to nothing. That is automatically, folks, we really can't even start reaching out to the community until we start actually picking up the fruit that's laying on the floor here now. Imagine if you had a class that you could take those precious folks through. I never will forget, I had a man in my community who had been married to this gloriously wonderful Greek Orthodox lady for 26 years. And I asked him, I walked up to him and I said, "Al, have you ever considered maybe becoming Orthodox? I mean, you come to church every Sunday. I mean, you're here every time your wife's here, and you guys are working every time, and you volunteer for stuff all the time. Have you ever considered becoming Orthodox?" And he stopped and paused for a second and looked at me and he said, "You know, Father, you're the first priest that's ever asked me that." How can I call myself an Orthodox Christian, folks? I mean, unless this is just a hobby. If it's just a hobby, I understand. But if it isn't, there's more to it than that. As soon as I finish with the presentation, I'm going to show you a little cut of that video series. The video series comes with a helpful workbook, 50 plus pages. You can see all that. If you want to learn more about this, go to journeytofullness.org. And you can learn more about this video series. I want to finish up before I show you the clip of the video, once I get to it, a statement from Bishop Callistos Ware, Metropolitan Callistos Ware. I want you to read this. Look at this. If we really believe Orthodoxy to be the true Catholic faith, then we should not cut ourselves off from the non-Orthodox majority around us. But as a duty and privilege, we should share our orthodoxy with others. Now, I want to stop this real quick, and I want to show you just a little bit of the journey to fullness, if I can pull it up real quick. Here we go. Here's a little taste of the Journey to Fullness video series. Please work. There we go.
One of the things I've appreciated most about Orthodox Christianity is that it has given me a more complete and healthy understanding of sin and salvation. Why did Jesus die on the cross? Was it really all about broken rules and contracts, as some of us have always believed? Was it to satisfy God's anger, to shield us from His wrath? Or is there more to it than that? What if salvation is all about relationship? More covenant than contract? What if the whole point is to heal our woundedness so that we might live in unhindered communion with God the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit forever? If this sounds like the work of a God that you can really love, then a healing purpose will be a powerful session for you.
Okay, we've covered a lot of territory. But when you boil down, what is the purpose for the Christian religion? What's the reason Jesus came in the first place? Why did Jesus die on the cross? What is the problem that needs to be fixed? Why do we need to be saved? That's a big word, by the way. I never will forget in the 1970s, being born again was a big deal. It was a big book that Billy Graham came out with called Being Born Again. Jimmy Carter was running for the presidency, and he was talking about being born again, and everybody was talking about being born again. Well, what is this about? You're going to truthfully argue that the whole question of Christian faith and Christian theology is to answer the question, what's the problem? What's the solution? With this change of mindset on understanding what sin is and what the purpose of salvation is, it isn't about getting out of hell free card. It isn't about, I don't want to be poked by the devil with a pitchfork. It's about, I get to restore my relationship with Jesus Christ and God the Father. I get to have that healed so that I can become what I was always meant to become. God's eternal companion who loves me and has given Himself for me. That's the Orthodox faith.
You used a phrase in this session where you said most believers in the West feel like Jesus came so the Father could have something to kill. Honestly, I felt sick in my stomach when I heard that. And then I realized that for most of my life I believed exactly the same thing. How has our concept of all of this become so narrow and angry?
We begin with the notion that we have broken the